hello everyone. It's Morgan Harper Nichols here, and today I am talking to teachers. I put out an inquiry on my Instagram story a few weeks ago, some weeks back, just asking if there were any teachers who would be interested in sharing their story as to what it's been like for them over the past year. And I was just blown away by the responses and also super bummed because there were so many teachers that I just didn't get to talk to. However, I was able to chat with a few across the United States specifically, and I'm excited to share their stories and what I learned with you. I hope that this episode can be for a few different people. First, I was thinking a lot about teachers. So if you are a teacher, I just hope that this is encouraging for you to just hear from other teachers. And then also for parents, guardians, caregivers, students, and then people such as myself who don't have school-age children and are not involved in the education system in any way directly. And I was just legitimately curious and wanting to know about what these experiences have been like for them. So yes, I'm excited to share this with you, and I hope that you can walk away from this like I did, just a little bit more aware of how we can support teachers and students during these ever-changing times. As we know, some teachers are teaching virtually, some in person, and some teachers have hybrid classrooms. And what you're about to hear are some of the teachers I interviewed sharing some of their experiences.
My name is Melissa Stotts. I live in Burlington, Wisconsin, so southeastern Wisconsin, and I teach fourth grade. I teach writing and social studies. We went back in person starting in August, so I've had 5 days a week, my full class since the beginning of the school year. We have had them split up into smaller little cohorts of students. When they're not with a teacher, they are in like a guided learning room working with an aide on some computer things, on independent work and reading. So we were able to make our class sizes smaller for COVID purposes and social distancing, but we are in person. So I'm seeing kids. I see 4 different groups of fourth graders all day long, and I'm teaching them social studies and writing.
Hey, my name is Jessica Harden. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I teach in Gwinnett County, which is one of the suburbs, a little bit to the east of Atlanta, of the city. And this is my 4th year teaching. I've been teaching 4th grade for the last 4 years. It has been a lot of adjustments. For sure. I'm not too far into the game, but I have a teammate who's been teaching for 21 years, and she's like, everybody feels like a first year teacher this year. It's just different. And it's even more different than the end of last school year where we started, or we ended digital because pandemic hit, everything got shut down. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, everything's gonna calm down and we're gonna be able to start the school year like we normally do. And that's not what happened. And so, starting a brand new school year when you're in a pandemic, it causes some disconnect that usually isn't there. So, in addition to just like welcoming new kids, some of the students I have, I've never seen face to face before, and I probably never will this year. So it's like, I've been your 4th grade teacher through a computer. And half the time it's like I'm teaching a black box and there's your name on that black box, So there's a lot of connection that isn't there like it normally would be. And so it's teachers working extra hard to build a classroom, family and classroom, community.
Yeah, my name is Danica. I teach middle school choir out of Oregon. It's been wild, to say the least. I actually moved districts over the summer. At the end of last school year, I moved closer to family. So this school year has been not only adapting to new teaching methods and being online and not being able to sing together with my students, but also learning new students, a new district, new grading, and all of that stuff. So to me, it really kind of just feels like everything is so new that I'm just kind of starting over from square one. So it really feels like I'm a first year teacher again.
So I'm Cassie Vizina. I live in Southern Maine, and I am a school speech-language pathologist in an elementary school. We're working with a part of the body that we have to cover with masks now, or to work with the children virtually over the computer when they're 5 to 7 years old. It's the age range I work with right now. So like my entire job has changed because I'm having to coach children in a different way. I'm having to give them feedback when I can't even see necessarily what they're doing when we're working on the speech sound side of things of my job. I can't model things for them the way I used to. They can't sit close together at a table. We can't do shared activities where we share materials, manipulatives, like all of that is out the window. And I've really just had to rethink my job from the ground up. And I've had to like sort of just think about myself and like, who am I? Because my whole job has changed. And that was such a big part of me. And then I see someone like my husband, and sometimes he works from home. Sometimes he works in the office. He has to wear a mask too, but all of his work is the same. And just the entire school day is different. The way they come through the door is different. The way they have to go down the hall is different. The lunchroom looks different. Recesses are different. There's a thing called mask breaks now that we would have been like, what the heck is that a year ago? Like, my whole work day and job looks different now. And it just happened on a dime.
All teachers have had to readjust and pivot to a new normal while still remaining positive and encouraging for their students. Here is Danica again.
So the hardest thing for me is that I've had to completely rethink my curriculum and my goals as a middle school choir teacher. Generally, my goal is that I'm facilitating group singing opportunities for my students. And I learned very quickly that group singing opportunities over Zoom are not a thing. I actually learned this because I had a virtual birthday party for a friend last spring, and we all tried to sing happy birthday at the same time with our sound on. And it was just a mess because of all the delays. So we learned very quickly that singing all together is not something that's going to be happening this year. And so I really had to shift my focus and work a lot more on the individual voice instead of big group opportunities.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Erica Harrison. I am a college instructor located in Southeast Georgia. I teach non-traditional mostly, but I'm also hired to teach dual enrollment students. These are students that are taking college credit courses while they're still in high school. I don't think I understood exactly, which no one did understand exactly what all was going to go on, and how some of my students even were working more when things closed down. So I did show a lot of grace. And I think that's something that I've learned over the past year, is not only showing more grace, but my students have been so precious and they've shown me a lot of grace as well.
And there's nothing to look to. Like, there's no, how did the last time we needed to do speech therapy with masks on, what did people do? Like, there's no template for it. The last time we had a pandemic, my profession, as far as I know, did not exist. So it's all us figuring it out.
My name is Maria Gutierrez. I am in Fullerton, California, and I teach fourth grade. Kind of the sad reality is that because I'm on this weird hybrid schedule with my students where I see one cohort in the AM and one cohort in the PM, I really only get about 2.5 hours of instructional time with my students, which doesn't leave a lot of room to cover every subject. And we've been instructed to mainly focus on ELA, language arts, and mathematics. So that's typically our main focus. And I think of the two, math has been harder to teach online. On Fridays, I like to have them do a gratitude journal. And so after I give them time to reflect on sort of the positive things that have happened in the past week, I give them an opportunity to share out. And some of the things they say just hit me. It's so sweet and so honest. And it makes me so appreciative that I get to be in this position and get to work with these students who are coming to this uncertain year with still a lot of hope and a lot of positivity and a lot of gratitude.
But despite all of the things that I just explained to you that are making my job so hard, kids still are making progress, it's amazing to me that these tiny little humans with masks on are having to sit at their computer and pay attention to me for 30 minutes, which I struggle with. So I can't even imagine them. Like they're getting things, like I'm teaching them things. I had a little guy that has made wonderful progress with his S sound. And it's also kind of fun when we are doing virtual therapy when the parents are around, because they get to see that in a different way than they typically do when the kid's just at school with me. So that's been one tiny silver lining, is that I've been able to connect with some families sort of more often and in a more personal way. And they've been able to see some progress like with me in the sessions. And when they get excited and the kids get excited and we all like get to share those moments together, that's like really kind of filled my heart and kept me going on some hard weeks for sure.
While I was speaking with Wisconsin-based fourth grade teacher Melissa, we talked about the death of George Floyd and everything that we have faced as a country. She, like other teachers, has faced backlash for the conversations and lessons having to do with racism. Here are some of her thoughts.
What I thought, was one lesson has kind of turned into this huge fight and backlash within my community. It's really brought out a lot of racism in this community. And so it's something I've been battling all year. And now, I've continued to teach the way that I believe I should teach. And so I'm continuing to get backlash from parents. So it's been very, very interesting, to say the least. But that's with the adults, with the kids, it's been amazing. It was the first week of school, so we hadn't really developed much of a relationship yet. But I do think that even just that like first lesson that I did with them in social studies kind of opened things up. And now my students just feel comfortable. They come to me with things. I just feel like the relationship we have, they feel like they can come to my class and ask questions that maybe they don't feel comfortable asking in other spaces. And, specifically after I taught that lesson, I had two of my Black students in my class. One of them came up to me right after the lesson, and she thanked me, and she said, thank you so much for teaching our class about racism. And I mean, coming from a 9-year-old, it was just like, it just was really meaningful. Just the reactions that some of the students had.
With everything teachers, students, and parents and caregivers are facing on a day-to-day basis, there is certainly space for us, the community around them, to ask, what can we do to help? So I asked, and the following answer is from Callie, a former teacher from Kansas.
I am a Kansan who also has spent some time teaching in different places. I grew up in Garden City, Kansas, the heart of the United States, and grew up performing and singing. Had no idea that I would actually turn into being a music teacher, but loved that I could share music, especially with early childhood. If you know a teacher, here's what I recommend. People always, I see it online, people are like, what do I get my teacher for Teacher Appreciation Day? Every teacher will tell you the thing that matters the most is an email, a sticky note, a handwritten note that says, thank you for doing what you're doing. Keep going. You are a bright spot in a very dark time. Whatever it is, I still have a stack of letters and emails, encouraging things that I got from families, teachers, colleagues, and those are the most valuable things. So if you've got a teacher in your life, give them a virtual hug and send them a note, because unfortunately, I know I've experienced as a teacher the positive to negative ratio is it's not even close. So, reach out.
Georgia teachers Erica and Jessica have some words of advice specifically for students and parents.
I tell them all the time to notice their posture, notice their breath, and notice their thoughts. And I also harp on them all the time, and they probably get so tired of hearing me say this, help me to help you. I will be as involved as you want me to be, or I can, kind of just be a general facilitator. But I cannot help if I do not know what's going on. I'm not telling you to give me all your business, but if you communicate with me, then I can help. I will find a way.
Give yourself grace and your kids grace. And it's something as a teacher that I'm like, I need grace. And as much as I'm like, the kids need to be responsible for so much, like, it's a pandemic. Like, well, the kids are going to go to this next grade. They're going to learn how to read. They're going 1 + 1 is 2. Like, we're going to learn these things. And if it doesn't happen right now, or if it looks iffy right now, or isn't as smooth right now, that's okay. Like, life isn't that smooth right now. And so I think with everything that's coming in, whether that is, the testing that may happen and the teachers saying, do this assignment, and the kids are throwing a tantrum and the juice is on the computer, like, just give yourself, mom, dad, grandma, like, grace, because we know as teachers, like, this is hard for us. So we can only imagine how hard it is for you guys as well. So know that we're coming from that mindset too. And I think the more that you're giving yourself grace, you're even like communicating to your kids, like, breathe, like, we're going to be okay. We can just talk to the teacher. We're going to get this done tomorrow, whatever it may be. I think the healthier will come out on the other side of this, for sure.
Lastly, 2 our teachers, Callie, Cassie, and Maria, have some encouraging words for you.
Find friends who are teachers and talk to them often. I have teachers around the country that are a part of my teaching family and my community, and I don't know what I would do without them. Really, that's number one, is find a community. And obviously, I think a teacher starting in 2021 is going to know that it's going to be incredibly difficult. You're never going to be enough for all of your students, which is a really difficult thing to say out loud and to comprehend, because me as a teacher, all teachers, they will tell you they give everything that they have to their students, and then some, and still never quite feel like they've done enough. But just put your heart into it.
Well, I just want to say, working with teachers, like with the actual classroom teachers that have their little group of children all the time, and watching them all year, I think that teachers have the most amazing job on the planet. I think they have one of the hardest jobs on the planet right now. And I think, I can truly say about teachers that they're one of the most selfless professions there is too. I see them bending over backwards every day to still connect with these kids and to still teach these kids and to still be their community and their safe space when it's such a hard time. And with so much criticism, there's a lot of people that aren't in the arena themselves that have a lot to say about it. And I forget, was it a Roosevelt quote? I forget the one about that quote about if you're not in the arena getting your butt kicked, then you don't have a say in it. And that's what I think all the time, because they're the ones in the arena. And I'm lucky enough to get to work with teachers and see that. So I would just kind of put it out there to the general public that whether teachers are working virtually or in person or a hybrid, I promise you they're working harder than they ever have in their lives. And that they want to do everything to make the kids and the parents' lives easier too. So just, give a little grace, I guess.
If I were to tell someone, to think about schools right now, is just that it's been a difficult year and we've all just been trying to navigate it together, and it hasn't been easy for anyone. So I'm super proud of anyone that's in this profession right now, and any of the families that are, dealing with this right now as well.
Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you here tomorrow.